Everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Blood and Plunder here as we move along with the Spanish commanders. Today we're going to take a look at another 25-pointer, Don Francisco, so he can lead any Guarda Costa force. And for that 25 points, we're getting a very solid 12-inch command range and the 2 command points. Always, of course, want that third one, but we can't always have that. But moving on, we do get a pistol and a standard melee weapon, so he's pretty much good to go there. Would be nice, of course, also there to see like the brace of pistols, but good enough. We do get 4 rules again, though, so that's getting, again, quite a bit here in that points package. We get Determination, Commodore, Broadside, and Tough, and as you can tell, some of that's going to be geared more towards naval combat, and that's fine, but occasionally, right, we might find ourselves fighting on land, so let's just see how the Don stacks up here. So Determination, another great one. And we've seen that once previously with one of the Spanish commanders here. But basically, all trained and veteran units in the force must exchange Ruthless for Tough. Now, a lot of these Spanish units do already come with Ruthless, so you're basically going to be changing the playstyle of that particular force a fair bit with that. If you go back to looking at all the different factions that we reviewed, right? There's one of the wonderful things of this game is that you might play like one particular nation, but you have so many different forces within that nation to choose from, and even then within an individual force, there could be different ways of creating interesting variations on that, and then also now with like selecting certain characters like this, right? We can really alter what we can essentially bring to the table and what we want to take against our opponents in so many cases. So now Ruthless is always great when we can shoot units or fight units that have more fatigue than us, right? We're getting bonuses there, but Tough is just another great one to have all the way across that, and we'll see that at the bottom here. So something to factor into your list building and selection as well. Now Commodore we've seen many a times, and they're obviously going to be geared for fighting on the water. When this commander is aboard a ship, their command range is increased by 12. So again, it helps us spread that command range across games where we're dealing with, maybe we're playing a larger game and we have maybe 2-3 ships or something like that. And with that extra bonus to the range, we don't have to be stuck that close together and run the risk of collisions and other just mistiming when we need to do certain things, just kind of the overall game plan as well, right? So we have plenty of range to do that and stay coordinated essentially. Broadside is always great, and of course almost can't leave home without that if we're going to have a commander geared for fighting on the water. All artillery fired during this commander's activation are fired simultaneously, hence it all counts as the same ranged attack, and all dice for the shoot tests are rolled simultaneously. This increases the chances of scoring critical hits, and that's really, aside from just pure damage, one thing we're always trying to fish for, and that's criticals on enemy ships, because we can cause wonderful extra types of damage, right? Like fires, flooding, destroying steering, rigging, just all kinds of fun stuff, right? And if we can start piling on multiple critical effects over the course of a game, that's going to give the opponent much more to deal with, and than just outright damage. Of course, we do want to maybe sink enemy ships and hopefully cause the loss of all the crew on board and all that. But when we can cause things that give them things to do that maybe take away from the effectiveness of their sailing and performance on the enemy ship, right? Like, again, fires to put out, flooding to deal with, etc. Keeping them busy repairing things while instead of them optimally operating against you is great, and then that makes you more effective hopefully in the long run as well. So, and then last but not least, because it does revolve around determination as well, this guy also has Tough. So if this unit ends in activation, and by all means, then all the other units in the force, right, that have Ruthless will all be Tough now too. This is a wonderful thing for staying in the fight longer, right? So if this unit ends in activation with any amount of fatigue and it did not push, it can remove a point of fatigue at the end of its activation, which is just wonderful, especially when most of your force could probably have that, right? So essentially what that's going to allow for over the course of the game is that we get essentially a lot of free actions in the form of removing that fatigue, so we don't have to spend time rallying. Maybe we can use our command points for other things if we know we're not going to push, and hopefully we're still in a good spot, right? So if the fatigue is kind of able to be kept at a low to minimum amount, getting that removed for free is going to be wonderful over the course of the game, right? And if we can get this to trigger multiple times, just think of all the actions that we're going to get hopefully over the course of a game, and that really should result in almost getting like an if we add that up and it happens multiple times, we might even get essentially like an entire like extra turn's worth of actions in some cases, if we can do things right with that. So really good stuff there and a good combination. And again, we're getting 4 abilities here for 25 points, so that's a-okay, right? Everything's pretty good here. There's no downsides. Determination obviously is like a force, entire force effect that we can have. So ideally, if we want that, we're taking a lot of units that have ruthless already, and then making or getting tough out of that. We have tough on the commander, and then obviously Commodore and Broadside go hand in hand for great naval engagement abilities. So yeah, 25 points, 4 abilities here. Good stuff to have. Right up there with a lot of the other great commanders that we've seen lately, especially here for the Spanish. So all in all, guys, let us know. If you're running Guarda Costa, have you run Don Francisco? How has that gone for you? Your thoughts overall on that? Have you had to run him on land before, too, and how has that played out? Do you think that Determination and Tough are enough to run the Guarda Costas on force with him? Or is he maybe overcosted as far as land battles go? But how do you feel about him on the water as well? Hit us up in the comments, like and subscribe, and we'll have more Blood and Plunder for you soon.